Okay, so this whole thing started out a couple weeks ago when I was speaking with Bob Pulver from Elevate Your AIQ, and he was talking about a different product review video that I did for another AI tool in HR. And he asked me the question, he's like, "Hey, have you heard of Atlas Copilot? What do you think of it?" And I was like, No, I haven't. I have no idea what it is. I don't know what you're talking about. So I went back, I did some homework, and honestly, I have no idea why I haven't heard of this. But in case you weren't aware, Atlas Copilot is actually the very first AI tool that was developed for HR resources. And it came to market back in late 2023. So I have no idea why it hasn't made my radar until now, especially considering the fact that it's almost a year old at this point. So, what I decided to do, as usual, because individual subscriptions are available, and you know how your girl loves a individual subscription here, I purchased a subscription, did a whole free trial thing, and basically checked out what Atlas Copilot was about. And I recorded the whole process, or at least a good chunk of it, to be able to take you along the journey with me to kind of see what the user experience and everything else was like. So, without further ado, let's get started and dive into what Atlas Copilot is all about.
Okay, so we are going to head over to atlascopilot.com and take a look at what's going on. So it's looking pretty much like a typical Copilot website right now in terms of what it's describing. Let's hit get started and take a look at the price. So professional license is $19.99 a month or $199 per year. So you basically get 2 months off. Let's try the per month licensing and we'll pop in our email address and see what happens next. All right, so it looks like we have a 7-day free trial period before we commit to our payment plans. I just put in my credit card information and sliced that piece out of the recording. You do get a confirmation email right after you sign up. So after you sign up, you have to wait for an email, click the link in the email, and then it will take you to the next screen here after a bit. There we go. So now we're going to go ahead and set up our passwords. So it does take a couple minutes after you type in your password for this loading screen to appear. I've been sitting here and waiting for a couple of minutes at this point. I've just cut out the waiting cycle so you don't have to sit here and wait with me on video. There we go. So the profile has been saved. Let's just continue on to the browser version and see what's going on. And again, we're sort of in that loading slash lagging stage of the tool. Let's give it a moment. I hope I don't have to edit this part of the video out again. Is anything going to happen here? Maybe I do need to edit this video. Okay, so it took a little bit to load, but here we are. We are now in the privacy statement screen. We're just going to hit I agree and move on. I don't think there's ever a time that we don't get to agree with this stuff. As you can see here, you'll need to answer a couple questions about your company, the headcount, what areas are you interested in. So it definitely looks like these guys are getting some of the filtering, if you will, of data and sources and information they're going to present to you done and setting up the context for the Copilot before you start the experience. So we're just going to click a couple of different options here, maybe all of them, and let's see where it takes us. What is my current role? Let's just say creator. Next. And we're waiting. All right, we're in the home screen here. Okay. All right, so we are now in the main landing page, and it looks like there are 3 different modules here. So Atlas Copilot, People Analytics Agent, and the Dave Ulrich Insights. We're going to go top to bottom and test all of it out. Let's go to Atlas Copilot first. Okay, so it's a little weird that it's crafting a response before I even type in anything, but I think it's just here to greet me. Okay, we're gonna run a similar set of testing questions as we used in the last tool, and let's see how we do here. So let's ask, how do we create a people analytics function first? We're gonna give it a minute while it's crafting responses, and you're watching this in real time, by the way. Okay, so define objectives, data collection, real-time analytics. Okay, not bad. Looks like we got some resources here as well for us to explore, or the sources that the Copilot has used to come up with these answers. Looks like we do also have a variety of those, so it's not citing from a singular source necessarily, but the answer does seem a bit generic, despite the fact that it's looking like it's at least citing from at least four of the sources below. Let's see how it does on the PTO policy here for a moment. And let's see if it understands PTO. Okay, here we go. Types of absences, carryover notice. Again, it's answering the questions, but it's still feeling a little generic, especially when the other tools do offer more templates. So let's see if it can create a PTO policy for us with some more fine-tuned inputs here. Oh, okay, so it does come back and ask us to clarify. Let's say that we are interested in how PTO interacts with state laws in those 3 states. And I did pick those 3 states at random for no particular reason. Okay, so we're still being very generic with our answers. Let's give international location a shot and see if it can respond to me about PTO policies in Canada. Okay, so as you can see, it's asking clarifying questions, but it's like if I have this information, why would I bother with a Copilot? All right, let's go to navigate for a moment on the sidebar and let's see what there is. It does look like there are a bunch of podcast recordings here on different topics. I think those are probably customized based on my initial inputs earlier. There, it is also categorized by different topic areas. You'll see there's research and reports, as well as I think a lot of white papers quoted from different sources, and they do also cite those sources. So, depending on what you're interested in, I think there are some useful contents here, but it's not necessarily research done by a singular entity or cited from a singular source. It's more of like an aggregation of what's going on in the market. If you go to events, you do see all the panels that AIHR is hosting, for example. So it's interesting. Let's head back and start a new thread, and we're going to test out the people analytics agent here. So it's crafting a response again. I think it's going to be that welcome message. Yeah, it is the welcome message. Okay, since it is a people analytics expert, let's see if there's any industry benchmarks we have here and if it pulls up any numbers. We'll give it a moment here. The lagging time is definitely something that's standing out to me, though, I have to say, as I'm watching this and recording it live. Okay, so it's asking for clarification, which is good. It's not immediately jumping in and assuming. It knows exactly what I'm asking for, or kind of just assuming a certain set of data is applicable. So let's go generic and we'll ask for something on turnover. We're going to give it a second. All right, here we are. Okay, so I have a definition, I have industries, I have what to look for. Again, it's very, very theoretical still. It's not giving me any hard numbers. Let's see if it has any data points. And we're gonna give it just a moment here once again while it's crafting a response. Okay, so we do have data points in terms of what all levels as well as management levels can look like. And I also see here that we can explore other topics as well. Let's take a look and see what other topics there are. So it's split by capabilities, tips and actions, other things you might want to know. So it does expand on what you're looking at a little bit. Let's take a look at the sources that they're using and see what is being used to generate the answer that we were just looking at. Okay, so it is taking us to a PDF report that I think it pulled the data from in its response, and looks to be a 2022 KPI study done by the Manpower Group. So it's good data, but I think you just need to confirm for yourself if that's the data source you want to use or not. All right, let's hop on ahead and take a look at what is going on with the Dave Ulrich Insights. I think it's a really cool concept that you can converse with a virtual Dave Ulrich, so to speak. All right, we're going to go in and ask for an HR operating model that is best adaptive for an AI organization today, and let's see what happens. All right. So as you can see from the answers here, we're still in a very generic and theoretical theme, I would have to say. There's not a whole lot of practical stuff in there, but let's see if there is more if we were to probe a little bit deeper. Okay. Again, we're still looking at theory. I was really hoping you could give me more practical tips that can be put into action. All right, we're going to ask for some specific use cases. As you can see here, I'm really digging for practical tips on this one. So let's see how we do on the third try here. Okay, we're breaking down into some functional areas, so this is helpful. Let's see what we're using for this case study. It does look like we're just citing from a single source for all of these answers here. Okay, let's take a look and see what that source is. Give it a moment here. Oh, wow. Okay, it is a LinkedIn article, apparently, exported out in PDF version that was written by Dave Ulrich. Again, not a bad source. Slightly concerning we're citing everything from one source, though. One thing I do have to give Atlas Copilot kudos for, though, is that they're very thorough with their email communication as well as user onboarding. So as you can see here, they do give you a step-by-step breakdown of how to use a tool, what are some of the best use cases for it. Just food for thought if you are really new to this whole Copilot thing, especially Copilot for a certain profession, for a certain industry.
Okay, so overall, I think Atlas Copilot definitely has some of its own quirks, but it also is a very good tool for HR professionals, especially who are looking for AI tools designed specifically for this function to elevate their productivity. What I loved about Atlas Copilot was first and foremost the 7-day trial, because I always am a firm believer of try before you buy. So the fact that they kind of came out and said, yeah, give us a shot, see how much you like us, don't like us before you commit to a full subscription. I think along those lines, the economic value that Atlas Copilot offers is also pretty substantial, considering that it's about literally half the price of its next competitor in this category in the market today. I also love the fact that it gives you a wide variety of content that it's pulling from. So a different set of events, different set of podcasts, different reports, so on and so forth. So I think that is good, especially if you're trying to collate a sort of broader 360 perspective as opposed to relying on a single source. What also irked me a little bit was actually that as well, primarily because depending on the query that you had, you pretty much have to like sort of do a source check to make sure that the stuff that it was pulling up was in fact industry relevant or context relevant to what you were asking for. I thought the different modules were pretty neat, especially the fact that they basically pulled out a different module for people analytics on its own. The Dave Ulrich persona was kind of fun to play with as well, although quite frankly, I was expecting a little bit more from that module. I think it just needs a little more fine tuning to really get the richness of the content to surface. What I didn't love about this tool necessarily was the lag time. So in some aspects during that last video, you saw the lag time it took to kind of generate a response. And again, I'm not sure if it's my connection or if it's something else, but there were parts of the video where I actually had to like crop out the lag time so you weren't like literally listening to my voiceover while we were waiting for this screen to load. The other thing I didn't quite love about it is I get why it kind of was being succinct in the first layer of answers, kind of like giving you generic answers. And then like as you dig for it, it went deeper and deeper and deeper. Um, but I feel like if you were an HR professional looking to use something in the flow of work, you're almost looking for like the expediency of the tool in addition to the details of it. So I think there's still a little fine tuning required in finding that balance necessarily, because I don't know if everyone will have the patience to kind of dig 3, 4 layers from the initial inquiry to get to the answer that they're looking for before just giving up and going to a different source. But I mean, hey, you have a 7 day free trial, so definitely go check it out. See what it's all about. I think some of you out there will find this tool to be very helpful in your day to day needs. And if nothing else, at least it gives you a comparison point of what's available in the market versus sort of the more generic ChatGPT and Perplexity stuff that you use on a daily basis. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe, where we do these types of product review videos, as well as AI in HR in under 90-second sequences.